All right. So now we have got the foundation laid and we're ready to go to my favorite strategies to bring them in. And again, as we're going, just go ahead and share your thoughts in the text chat. And the first one is make the marketing all about her. She's busy. So what's in it for her? Again, times have so changed. Back in the 60s, most moms were stay-at-home moms. There were many gals who were working, but it was not 50% yet at all. Now, well over half of the women are working in the workforce. And so you need to recognize that she's super busy. She's exhausted. She's juggling so many balls. She's stretched very thin. If you want her to come, you're going to have to make it so she wants to come. One of the things we just mentioned was invite her to contribute in some way. That will give her a sense of belonging, and she will want to come more if she gets something out of it beyond just being entertained. She can actually be entertained on her phone anywhere she is. She doesn't need women's ministry. What she can't get is she can't get a sense of family and belonging. She cannot get a sense of relationship. She cannot get a sense of being closer to God in fellowship with other Christians alone on her phone. So make the marketing about her. What's in it for her? And maybe as we go along, just keep sharing your ideas in the text chat. This is going to go fast, but we'll have some time at the end to just text together too, even after this program is over, before the next one begins. So just keep texting and let's figure out some ways here. Let's let God I invite you, God, to just bring ideas to mind and help women to have the courage to share them. Thank you. All right. The second one is to create amazing posters, flyers, inserts, invitations, and tickets on Canva. So you might be saying, what's Canva? A few of you don't know what it is. Most of you do. Canva.com is a site that has virtually done away with graphic artists. Not really, but it has turned all of us into a totally different level of graphic artists than we could be without Canva. For an example, over the years, so I started my radio show. And by the way, I want to invite you to Marnie's Friends. It's every Wednesday at 4 p.m. But of course, you can listen to it after. And I do a training show every week with an expert on some topic related to leading women or being a woman of God or something like that. So check that out. Well, I started it in 2009. And at that time, and for a decade, more than a decade, every week I would pay my graphic artist to sit there with a little stylus tool and get the backgrounds off, so that, like my green background here, so that we had just her head with a white background so we could use it in our marketing. And so every week I was paying the graphic artist. Well, then Canva comes along, and with one little button touch, it does it for me in about 30 seconds. It's amazing. And if you don't know about Canva, I just want to invite you. Wait. I want to invite you to get the freebie that I'm going to offer later. It's down below, and you can get the Canva training. It's a 30-minute training that I did for my mentees over at my mentorship program at Marnie.com. And you can have it for free. And that's going to get you started or help you to take shortcuts to make these amazingly beautiful. One of the things I want to mention here when we're talking about your posters and flyers and inserts and stuff, there's a concept called branding that most of us are aware of. It's like the Nike Air, or it's like the Coca-Cola, whenever you see, or McDonald's, whenever you see the arches, it's like they have branded so well that when we just see an image, we know that it's them. You want to begin to do this with your posters and flyers. So you want to have it branded. First, have your group have a logo or some kind of a branding item there, so that when the women ever see that, they know that that's the women's ministry. Oh, look at that. That's the women's ministry. And then also you want to have each event branded, or each kind of event. So if you have regular Bible studies, you might have a little Bible logo with your church picture behind it, or something that brands it. And then if you're having a major women's event, once you select what colors you're going to use and what images you're going to use, you want to keep those going. So, it used to be that it was 7 touches. A woman would need to see something 7 times before she'd go, hey, I think that's for me. Now it's way up in the high teens. I mean, it's crazy how many times we need to see something. Our worlds are so cluttered now. So branding is a way for you to get it in her mind and help her to keep seeing it until she gets to the point where she says, oh, I'm supposed to go to that. Oh, they're talking to me. It's so weird how our brains are, but that's just how it is. Now, the other thing is use these all. Don't just use some of them, use all of them and keep promoting. Sometimes, you stick it out there and you think everybody saw it. No, no, keep promoting all the way up until either the tickets are gone or until the date of the event. All right. When you're talking about tickets, do ticket bundles versus only one-on-one. So what does that mean? You can sell tickets one by one by one by one, or you can sell tickets in sets of 10 or even maybe 5 or whatever. I mean, Lifeway with the Beth Moore conferences in the huge stadiums and with their other gals, they would do this. They would have an associate who would take a bundle of 100 tickets, and she'd be responsible to go find people to buy them. And so you can do this with your little group too. Why just sell them one by one? Sell them 2 at a time or 5 at a time or 10 at a time. They can either sell the ticket or they can actually pay for it themselves and give it away, whatever. But if you find volunteers to take more than one ticket, your attendance is going to go up. Bottom line, it just motivates your gals to think out of the box. So think about bundling your tickets. The next one is to start early with your promotion, all the way to the point where you promote the next event at the one that you're doing, which means, even if it's a year in advance, which means you really have to have your act together, right? If you have to know what's coming next, you have to have your act together. So like, for example, with this summit series on the homepage of Thrive With Me 2023, you can see all the upcoming summits because I'm using this and I'm saying, I want you, if you thought this was fun, you're going to love the next one. And honestly, just a little hint here for those of you who write newsletters or articles or blogs or books or whatever you write, we are doing a writer's retreat in July. That's our next summit. And so if you want to come and get good strategies and tips from writers who've written over 3 books, from writers with multiple books, some of them have way more than 3, you want to come to this and you want to set a couple days aside there for that to really get some writing projects done. And you might just kind of batch all of your writing. Maybe you're working on your social media posts or whatever it is, whatever you need to get written. If you join us for those 3 days, July 11, 12, and 13, you're going to get so much writing done and you're going to have fun because we're going to come together, hold each other accountable, grace-based always when you're working with me, grace-based accountability. Nobody gets beat up. We just own it. And then we move forward. We recommit and move forward if we fail. So anyway, with your events, you want to just start early with the promotion. So if you're having a conference every year or a retreat every year, you want to know, for example, what the date is next year, where you'll be at, what the cost is, who the speaker will be, what the theme will be. So this requires you to think out in advance, but it really does help women to plan. One of the things I know about women is we like notice. Guys are a little more flexible, actually. I hate to say that, but it's true. Women are very inflexible. I learned this in my face when we owned a restaurant and we did a catering job for a large company in our community. They had a bunch of people in from out of town, and then they had a bunch of employees from their local town in on a huge meeting, and we catered the lunch. So that was all good and fine, except for that the people attending this meeting thought that they were getting catering from a different restaurant the day we were there. So we brought in Mexican and they thought they were getting subs. Now, I don't know about you, but would you prefer Mexican or subs? In fact, you can just write that in the chat right now. If it was you, would you prefer Mexican or subs? Or are you the kind of person that wouldn't care if it was Mexican or subs as long as you had notice? See, what happened was the guys came into the line and they were all just like, oh, yum, this looks fantastic. Give me some of that, like that. The ladies came through the line with their phones out, with their calorie counters out, trying to decide, oh, man, I had my whole day figured out. Now what am I going to do? This is how girls think. So if you want them to come, they have to think ahead to save the money, to get the childcare in place, to make sure the weekend's free. The earlier you start promoting, the more ladies will be able to come. So it kind of, as you can hear now, it's kind of what I call a spin. And once it starts spinning, then it's going to just really go well. But it's hard to do it one by one by one. If you only do one of these, it's good. But if you do them all together, it's amazing. Okay, next. This is something we did in my church in northern Minnesota. So I was a women's ministry leader for 20 years up in Minnesota. Now we're living in Florida by my grandbabies and my daughter, and it's so fun. But I'm worship leader now at our church instead of WM leader. Somebody else, my friend Gina, is doing that. But when we had this group up north, one of the things we discovered, which was game changer, just a game changer, was we would take the church directory and we would divide it between our planning team, and we would make a commitment that whoever's names we got, we would one-on-one connect with them and invite them to our major event. So that meant that we would either call them, we would find them in church and ask them face to face, invite them, or we would send something in the mail directly to them from us personally, not from the church, but from us. But preferably we were trying to call or see them face to face, one-on-one. Now you might go, oh, that's impossible for our church. Well, what if you just made a commitment that sometime over the year, somebody from your planning team would invite every single lady in your church directory to one event, maybe not all to the same one. What if you just made a commitment that every woman in your church is worth one personal invite? This is a game changer. If you look at this, I loved this picture because if you look at the picture of the girl in the front, she's the team member. She's like all in. She's all here. She knows everybody. She's connected. And then you look at the girl behind her, and she's so happy, but she's a little bit on the outside yet, right? So having somebody on the team invite you to come, it just makes you feel so much more welcome and excited and like willing to step out of your comfort zone and to be there. This is huge. One of the things we did after we tried to do it a couple different ways, we would have the church directory and we would pass around different pages of the church directory, and we would just jot our initials next to the gals we knew. And maybe next to one gal, there'd be 10 initials. That's okay. And then at the end, we would just give out the pages. And if we had a bunch of initials on the page that we got, we would just say, who wants to take this if it wasn't somebody we knew? Otherwise, we just took it. And that's how we did it. We just got however many pages we needed. We did the contacts, and it is a game changer to personally invite your women. Now, as you develop your women, then you can have them reach out and personally invite some of the gals as well. And in fact, you can even have a team that this is just what they do. This is their heart. This is what they do. And they each take 5 or something. I mean, this is one of the low bar ways to get gals involved in your women's ministry. Let them invite other women. All right. I wrote a book called Flow Through Vessel, and it's a Bible study book. And I love this book, and I'm going to use it as an example. So before I go to speak somewhere, if they will have their women go through this book, when I come, the ground is so fertile. The seeds have been sown. The gals are super excited. They're super engaged, and they get so much out of it more when I come, when they're ready. I first saw this done in northern Minnesota. So we were in a completely remote area. The closest Walmart at the time was 120 miles away. And you could go north 2.5 hours, east 2.5 hours, west 2.5 hours, or south 2.5 hours to get to a bigger city. But we were out in the middle of nowhere. So our town was 1,800 and the town next to us was 4,500, and they were 20 miles away. This town next to us, they had this idea to bring in Liz Curtis Higgs into teeny tiny Roseau, Minnesota. And it was crazy. So we lived right on the Canadian border, and the closest city up there was Steinbeck, which was 90 miles away. And then Winnipeg was 120 miles away. So it was so remote. And even just to get to where I lived from Minneapolis to the northern part of Minnesota was about a 7.5 hour drive. So they decided to bring in Liz Curtis Higgs. And what they decided to do was they decided to contact all the churches within that big radius of the 2.5 hour thing. They decided to contact all those churches to invite them all, to send them an invitation to go through her book, Bad Girls of the Bible, before she came. And don't you suppose that in the middle of nowhere, 800 women showed up, jazzed and excited for that event. It was amazing. It was truly amazing. So when you say, I can't get women to come, I just want to say there are ways to step out of the box and to do things that you hadn't thought of doing, and to involve people in a way that you haven't been doing to prepare for major events. So preceding the speaker is one idea, and doing it by having your groups go through a book club or a Bible study in her book is a great idea. All right, make everything breaking news. If it's not breaking news, don't make it breaking news. Don't say that we spent $150 on food or something like that, stupid. But if it comes the time to save the date, make that announcement. Announce the speaker once she's booked. And even like I just know if they just make a little video for you, and even I have to tell you, like I host womenspeakers.com. And if you ever need a woman speaker for your event, go find her at womenspeakers.com. You're going to love those gals. Anyway, a lot of even the big name speakers, they'll just literally do a selfie and they will introduce themselves to your gals in a selfie video that you can share during church or during your women's Bible studies or whatever. Announce the speaker in a fun way. Get excited about her coming. It's not all about the speaker, but sometimes gals are just ready for something new and exciting and different. And so to bring in a speaker that they can get excited about, it really does help sometimes. Okay, ticket sales. When ticket sales are open, make an announcement. When you have hit 100 registrations, make an announcement. Make it news, make it fun, and keep the ladies up to date on this. Remember, you're going for over a dozen touches with this before they even recognize that it's for them. Unless they're like me, where I'm like, it's on the schedule. Of course I'm going. Our younger generation is not with us on that page. They are not with us, and they are more distracted than ever. So it's going to take some work on our part to attract them, but honestly, their souls are so worth it, you guys. Their souls are worth it. And as you get them involved in your women's ministry, you are going to find that they are going to want to tackle some of them big jobs, of course, but most of them will be willing to tackle a small section of one of these things that I'm talking about here. You can just assign a team leader and have her help the gals in that group, like contact everybody directly or make the Canva images or take the posters around town or whatever. I mean, just get them involved at the level that they can. The next idea is to rally as many volunteers as possible. Encourage them to recruit their friends. So one of my favorite paths to do this is, I'll give an example of having an all-church women's birthday party. Whatever month it's in, doesn't matter, because volunteers from your church women are going to say, I will decorate a table for my birthday month, January, or my birthday month, October. You can decorate a table for your own birthday month. And then as the women register, they register with their name and their birth month so that you know how many seats you need. Maybe you have to find a second or a fifth table for October, whatever it is. You just get as many volunteers as possible to decorate their tables to make it look like that month of the year. The creativity that women bring to this, I mean, it's incredible. They have so much fun, and it's a lot of work, but they really have fun and they make it so fun. It's everything from paper plates to fine china. It's everything from flowers to crystals. I mean, it's just all over the board, and they are so fun. And have a photographer go around and take a picture of the group that created the table and the table so that you can share this on your Facebook page or, in a memory album or something like that. Now, as you get a volunteer for each table, then you're going to encourage her to recruit her friends or her mom or her sister or her cousin or her niece or her aunt to help her with the table. And if she can have 2 or 3 gals helping her with the table, now she's got half of a table full. And then we just need 4 more people to fill that table, right? So this is how this goes. What's amazing is that gals are so committed to one another. If you're a good friend of mine and I need help and you're going to be there for me. And this just makes it really fun. It introduces outside gals to your church, to your community in a fun and safe way. I'm going to sit at the table with my friend. And maybe they all aren't in the same birthday month. Don't sweat stuff like that. Oh my goodness. Let them be comfortable. If they want to go sit at their own table, then they should sign up like that. If they want to sit at their sister's table, then sign up like with Joy or whatever it is, just do whatever it takes to make them comfortable and bring them in and let them experience the love of Jesus in a safe environment with a loving family of God. All right. Next is to start a Facebook group just for the event. So I should have written here, start a Facebook event page for the event. So probably a lot of you already have, I know a bunch of you already have Facebook pages, Facebook group pages. But now for your major events, you want to start an event site, an event page under that Facebook group. So you have the Facebook group under here, you have an event page. And at that event page, you can share the news. You can share, you can take prayer requests after the event. You can share some photos, tag everybody all the time. This is just a good way for those who are registered, again, to keep being reminded and updated, and they're getting excited. Encourage them to bring a friend. You might even do something, this is just coming to my mind right now, do something like have a contest for who brings the most friends. Yeah, I mean, just get creative. Our goal is to reach more women for Christ. So don't get yourself locked in a box. Another idea is to invite other churches to attend, and better yet, invite them to help you to plan or host. So some of you are like, oh, we could never do that. And maybe some of you literally can't. Maybe your pastor would say, absolutely not, whatever. But most of you probably could if you would choose to work with other churches. So I want to use here the hotel analogy. So what I mean by the hotel analogy is, let's say that instead of being in your church, your event is at a hotel. You need a huge ballroom for this event. Maybe your gals are going away to a conference or a retreat, and you need a hotel to host you. Now, at that event, would you require that the valet was a Christian who believed the same way as your church? You wouldn't even notice it. How about the people at the front desk? You wouldn't notice it. How about the concierge? You wouldn't notice. They can help you with little things without being on the same page spiritually. How about the kitchen crew? No. How about the waiters or wait staff? No. How about the cleanup crew? How about the marketing crew? I mean, really, honestly, if you think about it, you need people who are Christians, who are strong in their faith, who believe the same way as your church to be on the platform, in the prayer room, for sure, at least one at each table, to like just be the beacon of the church, be the beacon of Christ's love at the table. Just what if you got a table and all of them don't even know Jesus yet? You want to at least have one Christian at each table, but don't limit yourselves down so much that you don't work with other churches. I'm going to use a little example. Years ago, my husband bought our family a restaurant and had me manage it. So I had never even worked in a restaurant. I had written a kitchen shortcuts book, which was super helpful. Marnie's Kitchen Shortcuts. You can still get that at my website or over at Amazon. But I hadn't ever worked in a restaurant, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was able to watch what they did and get trained in by them as they sold it to us. But it was really overwhelming. And I really, really wanted to have good relationships with the other restaurant owners in town, and I wasn't sure how to go about that. So I just prayed about it. And what I did was, sometimes in your restaurant, they will they will send you everything except for maybe, like maybe we had a restaurant, it was pizza and Mexican and subs. That's what we sold at our restaurant. So, small town, you kind of do everything. So maybe this week they wouldn't send us 16-inch pizza platters, the cardboard underneath. Well, you can't really sell pizzas without that piece. And so if we were running low, I would just go over to a restaurant that sold something like that. And I would just say, oh my goodness, they shorted us. Could I just borrow? Do you have any to spare? Do you have 25? Do you have 50 to spare? 100? What do you have to spare? I'll just either pay you for them, or else I'll just bring back when we get our order. And it really made for wonderful relationships with the other restaurant owners. And what we found was that we would go eat at their restaurants and they would come eat at ours. And it was just a wonderful way to make relationships. It is a great way to be Jesus to churches in your community who don't really know about the truth of the Bible and about the real Jesus, the one who wants to have a saving relationship with us, who wants to have a personal relationship with us every single day, not just on Sundays. And so it is a great way to be Jesus to your community, to work with other churches, to invite them in. You're not trying to steal their women. That's not the goal at all. You're trying to just include them in an amazingly exciting event that all of their women could really benefit from. And when you come at it like that, not in competition, but in collaboration, God is honored. Okay, I encourage you to give out symbolic tiny gifts and invites, or to do a skit a few weeks in advance of your event. Again, if you have sold out of tickets, please don't do this. It's kind of rude to do an exciting thing on the platform and then say, but you're not welcome. If you don't have a ticket already, you can't come. Don't do that. Do your big marketing until all the tickets are sold. And if you can do it right up to the last minute, great, do that. But if you have a limit, don't be mean. Don't be exclusive. Just stop the big bold marketing and just do reminders now to the gals who got the tickets, okay? Because nobody else can come. So this idea though is for those times when you do have tickets or space available and you want to keep doing it. So some of the most fun skits I've seen have been by men for women's events. And they'll like have a grocery basket, I'm sorry, not a grocery, a laundry basket on one hip and a kid on the other hip, and they'll be walking across the stage, and another guy's coming across, and he's like, dude, what's up? And he's like, yeah, she went to that thing at church. Yeah, I'm stuck babysitting. And the other guy's like, hey, you're not babysitting. Those are your kids. It might be a dad and a son or something like that. Another thing you can do is two women just walk by each other on the stage. Hey, you going on Saturday? Yeah, me too. See you there. And that's it. It doesn't have to be a big, hairy deal. Just to figure out some way to communicate and to remind them again, if they haven't gotten their tickets, get one. And if they have their tickets, remember to come. And if they could, still invite people. All right. What is a symbolic tiny gift? That might be a candy bar that you take a printed piece of paper and you put over the top all of the information about your event. You kind of make a little new wrapper for it, and you put it over maybe a Hershey's bar or something, and you just invite all the ladies and you give out those. Or it could be something like a bottle of water with a little thing off the neck that says "Come be refreshed at the women's night out" or whatever. Just a tiny little gift that can be handed out either as the women come in the door or by the ushers, or however your church does it now. After COVID, I don't used to always be ushers, but now it's not ushers anymore. So just to remind them that you love them. I think one of the things that was most profound to me as we did our women's ministry outreaches to our community several years ago up north, and we had multiple churches involved over the 2 years that we did it. And it was a monthly thing. It was a huge lot of work, but it was really powerful. One of the things I remember the most was a Lutheran gal had come in, and later she had told me that when she walked in the door and she saw all that we had done, like the decorating and everything we had done, she said she felt so loved. She felt amazingly loved that someone would bother to do all of that for her. And this is what we're going for. We're not going for numbers, we're going for souls. And every woman has a soul. So every woman is a number. But just remember that she has a soul and she feels your love or the lack of it. The final thing then is to make it recurring. When you find a real winner, when you do an event, and maybe you've been doing this event for a long time, but this time you did it a little differently, pay attention. Use that strategy again. Your church is unique. Something that works for one church will maybe not work for another church. So just try whatever God puts in your heart. And when you come across a winner, don't just say one and done. Make it a repeat thing. Try it again and again and again until it wears out. Because honestly, some of these things can become a tradition every single year. For our church, we did a pie auction. And it was a couples event, but the ladies hosted it as a fundraiser for missions. We did a pie auction every year for decades. I mean, it was like so much fun. And we raised so much money for missions, and we had a blast to the point where people who had moved away, they would call in their bids from out of town because they wanted to be part of it still. When you hit a winner, don't just bury it. Don't say one and done. Make it recurring. This concludes our session on my favorite 12 ways to invite women to come to our events. And there is another session. I did an interview with Robin Dykstra. Robin speaks at hundreds of events. And she had some really great insights and strategies for filling the house for a major event also. So check that out. Welcome. So amazingly great to have you here. I love that you came to join us. There's still time to invite friends if you want to invite friends. And if you want to join as an affiliate and promote some of our future summits to your women, that would be fantastic. It's a great way to earn some money for your ministry as well as to share this awesome opportunity with your gals.